श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिमेधविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ऋकारस्वन्धकारो वैरुकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः विष्णुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः विषेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। प्रज्ञानां सुप्रधानैः स्थिरजरनिकरव्यापिभिर्व्याप्य लोकान् भुक्त्वा भोगान् स्तविष्टान् पुनरपि दिशणोद्भासितान् कामजन्यान् पीत्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् स्वपिति मधुरभुङ्मायया भोजयन्नः मायासङ्ख्यातुरीयं परममृतमजं ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि। नास्वादयेत् सुखं तत्र निस्सङ्गः प्रज्ञया भवेत् निश्चलं निश्चरचित्तम् एकीकुर्यात् प्रयत्नतः। न आस्वादयेत्। May you not rejoice. Swad means taste. May you not be absorbed in tasting the sukha. So this samadhi or laya is what is being discussed about. While a yogi may be needed to practice a certain samadhi related activities, it is also important that these means which are used to gain the Brahmanishta don't become an addiction and they themselves may become a samsara. Talking about samadhi, the Yoga Sutras talk about three types of samadhi: Dharma Mega Samadhi, Samprajnata Samadhi, and Asamprajnata Samadhi. This Samprajnata and Asamprajnata is what we generally in Vedantic parlance call as Savikalpaka Samadhi and Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. So in this Samprajnata, there are about 4 types of Samprajnata Samadhi which is spoken about. The Samprajnata means where the samsara is still there, it is not fully destroyed. So it is also called Sabija Samadhi. The bija is there. No, in this Sabija Samadhi, there is a certain sukha. Why? Because there is oneness. There is oneness with certain aspects. In Samprajnata Samadhi, it can be a Savitarka Samadhi or a Savichara Samadhi or Sananda Samadhi or Asmita Samadhi. This vitarka means there is a certain, you can say, argumentation. The vitarka means there is a tarka in it, there is a certain disputed nature of what you are contemplating on. In the sense, the disputation also is, that argumentation also is part of what is being contemplated upon. That is a savitarka samadhi. Vitarka is there. So the stula padarthas, it can be any murta rupa of Bhagavan, or it can be certain objects of concentration. So when I used to be a student in school, some Hare Krishna people came to the school and they taught us certain meditation. There they asked us to focus on certain flowers, attributes and all that. That is a stula dhyana. And there is a savitarkatvam. If you, even if you gain a oneness with the object of contemplation, still there is the triputi which is there. So you first are told that to focus on a jasmine flower. Now this jasmine word is there, then there is an object for that word jasmine. That is so there is a word and then there is an object and then there is an idea of what is that flower. Okay. All of them are distinct. It is not in unison, but together you are actually gaining a samadhi on that jasmine as a whole, as an object of contemplation. And that can be even with an Ishvara Rupa or things like that. So the manifestation is a complete manifestation in your contemplation in the form of a grossified object which you are contemplating upon. It can be, like I said, a jasmine flower, a rose, or a lotus, or a light, or it can be a Namarupa, in which is actually a Pauranika Devata. So that is called Savitarka Samadhi. And then there is a Savichara Samadhi, where there is certain Vichara involved, where you look at jasmine as not just a gross jasmine, but all the objects which are available for you to objectify are comprised of Tanmatra, Pancha Tanmatra, Sukshmatvam is what is manifest as Stula. Therefore, all that is here is only Tanmatra, that is the next kind of dhyana. That is why these are stages of samadhi which is spoken about in Yoga Sutras, because this in both Samprajnata Samadhi and Asamprajnata Samadhi, there are different stages of Samprajnata Samadhi which are spoken about. So the Savitarka is the basic first level of Samadhi, because it still holds on to what? The grossified tangible world that you are perceiving. Only thing is you are closing your eyes and then going into a certain kind of trance, we call as trance or unison, with the grossified Jagat. Okay. Which you can, like I said, contemplate upon as Ishvara, who is the manifest Jagat and in total. But still all the Nama Rupas are intact. So that is why it is Savitarka Samadhi, which is the first stage. Then you get to the Karana. Karanatvam in the form of Tanmatra. Tanmatrani. Okay. The 5 Tanmatras is all that is here in the form of Jagat. So you focus on the subtle aspects, which is the Tanmatra. So that is more you are getting into the Sukshmatvam. When it is Tanmatra, it is not grossified. It is subtle. Okay. So then you go to the Tanmatra Dhyanam, that is called Savichara Samadhi, where you are resolving into the Tanmatras. That is Savichara Samadhi. Then there is, if then what is the next step? So first you went to the gross Vishaya, then you have now second step, you have come to the subtle Vishaya, because the subtle Pancha Tanmatra is obtained through only Vichara. It is not manifest that way. It is not evidently there. So it is along with the Vichara, where your Vichara shows you that there are only these Pancha Tanmatras which is manifest in the form of the gross world. So with that understanding, you are gaining a samadhi. It is called Savichara Samadhi. So it is the next step, even though it is about the manifest world, which is available to Indriyas. But these are two steps, because one is the grossest, the other is subtle. Then the third one is the Sananda Samadhi, where the Buddhi or the Buddhi Indriya, the Indriya, is where is all the five Jnanendriyas and five Karmendriyas are all resolved in its place. Kurmonganiva Sarvasaha, like in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, where you are restraining all your Indriyas, just keeping them there. So even in Samadhi, your Sukshma Indriyas can wander, just like in dream. Okay, that is what happens in the case of Savichara Samadhi and Savitarka Samadhi. Here, they are not let go anywhere, because the object, there is no object of meditation which is in the form of Tanmatra or the manifest Vishayas. Rather, you are focusing on the Buddhi itself, on this Ananda Swarupa. Okay, so but there also the Buddhi Indriya is evident to you, and there is a Samadhi. So it is a third stage. So you have come from gross to Tanmatra to your own Buddhi Indriya. Then if that Buddhi is also taken away and only focus on Asmita, my own existence, again it is the Videha Ahanta, that is the Asmita, the me being there. That is also Samprajnata Samadhi only, because you are leaving certain things out and focusing on your Swarupa. So the mind is there, the objects are there, everything is there, but you are keeping them away and you have yourself just with your mind at that time. So that is also called Samprajnata Samadhi. Okay, so these are four types of Samprajnata Samadhi, where you are actually gaining a certain oneness with the four levels of the Jagrat experience. Now, in all these, there is a certain joy, because you are temporarily suspending all the other thoughts, dukkha, everything goes away. That is what is leading you to certain ananda. So that sukha na aswadayet. May you not rejoice in it, because it is natural that you will get some swada, the taste. Okay, but may you not rejoice in it. Okay. Tikakara, in fact, Anandagiri says, Samadhisayam yat sukham utpadyate tad vishayabhilashadapi manaha nirodhavyam. There is a Vishaya Abhilasha. What Abhilasha? For what? The Sukham which comes from Samadhi. Okay. Tasya Tasyam avastayam sukham yad utpadyate. I am reading the Tika. Tad ajnana vijrumbitam mithya eva iti prajnaya viveka jnanena nisprihaha san bhavaye. That is also mithya only. Therefore, na aswadayet, nissangaha bhavet. Be detached from it. Whereas, then what do you do? Prajnaya viveka buddhya. Yad upalabhyate sukham tad avidya अविद्या परिकल्पितं मृषा एव इति विभावयेत् ततः अपि सुखरागात् निगृह्णीयात् यदा पुनः सुखरागान् निवृत्तं निश्चलस्वभावं सत् निश्चरत् बहिः निर्गच्छत् भवति चित्तं ततः ततो नियम्य उक्त उपायेन आत्मनि एव एकीकुर्यात्. दिस इज व्हाट इज भाष्यकार सेइंग. एकीकुर्यात् प्रयत्नतः चित्स्वरूप सत्तामात्रमेव आपादयेत् इत्यर्थः. So for that the Tikakara says किंच यच्चित्तं प्राचीन वैराग्यादि उपायेन निश्चलं प्रत्यगात्म प्रवणं प्रसादितं तद् यदि स्वभावानुसारेण बहिः निर्गन्तुम् इच्छेत् तदा संप्रज्ञात समाधेः असंप्रज्ञात समाधि पर्यन्तात् प्रयत्नात् तद् आत्मनि एव एकीकृत्य तन्मात्रम् आपाद्य परिशुद्ध परिपूर्ण ब्रह्मात्मकः स्वयं तिष्ठेत् इत्याह. Now the Bhashyakara is not explicitly talking about samprajnata and asamprajnata samadhi, but since the context is there, the Tikakara is saying this ekatvam eki kuryat prayatnatah. What kind of prayatna? Bhashyakara just said eki kuryat prayatnatah. Through effort bring that aikya. Atmani eva eki kuryat chittam. Okay, bring your mind on the Atma. How does that happen? How do you do that? So here Tika, that's where Tikakara said, Prachina Vairagya Adi Upayena, Viveka Vairagyam. Okay, Samadhi Shat Sampatti, Shatka Sampatti, all those things. Through that means, whatever the mind has gained a certain composure, Nischalam, then what? Swabhavanusarena yedi bahihi nirgantum ichet. If the mind is trying to go away, samahpraptam na vichalayet, we saw in the last session. So the samahprapti is there, but it is trying to go away, then what do you do? He says, tada samyak prajnat, tada samprajnat samadhehe asamprajnata samadhi paryantat prayatnat. So starting from samprajnata samadhi all the way into asamprajnata samadhi, may you practice the samadhi, okay, prayatnat tad atmani eva ekikritya tanmatram apadya, gaining the oneness with the atma vastu. Parishuddha paripurna brahmatma eka swayam ekaha san swayam tishtet. So may you stand in that swarupa. Okay. Now there are certain schools which don't accept the need for doing this samadhi, gaining this samadhi and all that. It is not necessary. You just need to recognize the sarvajñatvam, sarvashaktimatvam, all that param brahman. Okay. And mithyatvam of jagat, so that the shaktimatvam also is mithya. So nirguna niravayava nirakara brahmatvam apadayat. There is no gain also by jnana. So you don't need any samadhi is where our sampradaya is generally. But there are also other acharyas who actually talk about the samadhi being a very useful uh, thing to gain, so that that helps in the moksha jnanam. So both schools are there. Bhashyakara is not explicit on samadhi. Wherever the samadhi word comes, he uses more as samadhi yate chittaha asmin iti, and all that. Brahman is called samadhi, or a general contemplative state is shown as samadhi, but not as what is prescribed by the Yoga Sutras and all that. So he doesn't talk about Samprajnata Samadhi and Asamprajnata Samadhi and all that. In fact, this Layam itself, he took it only as Shushupti. Okay, so Laya Sambodhaya Chittam, he has taken Laya as Sushupti only. However, given that the Karikakara talks about Laya in a broader sense, and Aswadanam and all that, we can take the Aswadayet from as Sushupti only, because Laya is taken as Sushupti. But here, Bhashyakara also uses the term Samadhitsataha Yoginaha Yat Sukam Jayate. If you read this Bhashya here. So, he is indeed taking this Sukham where there is Aswada which is there as only Samadhi Sukha. Therefore, we can conclude that he is talking about Samadhi as one of the stages as part of the Upasana or sadhana. Okay. So samadhitsataha yoginaha yat sukam jayate tat na aswadayet na rajyeta ityartha. So now we saw what is Samprajnata Samadhi. Now what is Asamprajnata Samadhi? In the case of Samprajnata Samadhi, there is an alambana. Okay. There is a certain support which is there. Alambana on certain Namarupa or your Antakarana and all that. Okay, that support is there because it's a Sabija Samadhi. So because there is Alambana is something on which you are leaning on. So you are leaning on one of the four things. Either the grossest Jagat or the subtle Panchatanmatra or your Antakarana or your Asmita, and all of them are part of Mithya only because you are counting things. Asmita is counted, Antakarana is counted, Tanmatras are counted, and the whole manifest Jagat is counted. So you have an alambana on one or other of these things. Whereas in the case of Asamprajnata Samadhi, it is Kaivalyam only, it is Sahaja Samadhi or Swaswarupa Nishtha. In Swaswarupa Nishtha, there is no difference between me and Idam. There is neither me nor Idam. There is no experience per se. There is no Indriya. There is no Manas Buddhi. There is no Asmita. None of this is there. What is there? Brahman alone is there. So there is no Alambanam. That Brahman also you are not having an Alambanam on because there is nothing to have Alambanam upon. There is nothing for you to rest on because all that is here is the same. Now here there is no Triputi at all. Therefore, in Asamprajnata Samadhi there is no oneness recognition and all that because there is no what is oneness. Only when there is something other than you, you can become one with it. So here there is no dhyanam or samadhi that way. It is only resolving in everything which is there and being what you are. Suprakasha Jyoti. So in this case, all of them are gone. Okay, all the seeds are also gone. There is no prarabdha, nothing. There is nothing for alambana also. There is no bija also. That's why it's called nirbija samadhi. But then we said there are many stages here also, right? So here also you can talk about different levels from the perspective of vichara and all that. Okay, so you can have a nirvichara samadhi. So the same samprajnata samadhi where there is a There is a vichara. Okay. The vichara is the panchatanmatra. So from the panchatanmatra vichara, the tanmatratvam is left out. Okay, then it becomes nirvichara samadhi. So you can jump from one of the samprajnata samadhi stages directly onto asamprajnata samadhi. So see, since in the case of asamprajnata samadhi, there is, how can there be grades when the stages cannot be distinctly called out, because there is no stage here. See, stages in the samprajnata samadhi is because of what? The object of meditation. The objects of meditation on which you are gaining the trance or samadhi is varying from grossest to your own innermost self. Whereas in the case of asamprajnata samadhi, there is no object of meditation at all. So you can't actually structure it saying that this is stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. However, because you have the stages in samprajnata samadhi, a jump directly from samprajnata to asamprajnata samadhi can be considered based on the four categorization which were done in samprajnata samadhi. Okay. So that kind of a thing is spoken about generally in Yoga Shastra. Okay, whereas the Swarupa is actually what is. Okay, so there is no Videhatvam, Prakriti Laya and all that here, because it is Nirbija Samadhi. So that is why Tikakara also is talking, saying that Samprajnata Samadhehe Asamprajnata Samadhi Paryantat Prayatnat. So it ends with Asamprajnata Samadhi. Okay, it's not a means. That means Asamprajnata Samadhi is Brahmanishtha. तद आत्मनि एव एकीकृत्य तन्मात्रम् आपाद्य परिशुद्ध परिपूर्ण ब्रह्मात्म एक ब्रह्मात्मकः स्वयं तिष्ठेत्. So the be on in your swarupa. So this is what he takes as prayatnaha. Because what is the prayatna? Because Bhashikara here had said, right? Yada punaha sukaragat nivrittam nischala swabhavam tate nischarate बहिः निर्गच्छद् भवति चित्तं ततः ततः नियम्य उक्त उपायेन आत्मनि एव एकीकुर्यात् प्रयत्नतः. This ekikaranam, what is the prayatna that you do to gain this eki bhava, is only through this samprajnata samadhi and asamprajnata samadhi, is how Tikakara takes it. Okay. But in the other sampradaya, we say you don't need all this samadhi and all that, just do shravana. As you keep doing shravana manana nididhyasana, the eki bhava takes place. What is that? It's not necessary that you need to do tanmatra samadhi and gross samadhi and all that. These are not necessary things. They can be used. Somebody wants to use it, we don't have an issue. But it is not necessary to say you have to only go through these steps to gain the ekatvam. However, we can still take this so that we have that option. Tad atmani eva ekikritya tanmatramapadya parishuddha paripurna brahmatmakaha swayam tishtet. Parishuddha paripurna nitya shuddha buddha mukta swabhavasan tishtet ityartaha. Okay, nispruhaha yatokte sukhe anuragarahitaha sanne. So nispruhaha anuragarahitatvam. Where is nispruha in the Bhashya? The nissangaha, nispruhaha, prajnaya, viveka buddhya, yad upalabhyate sukham. The sukham happens because of nispruha prajna. Anuragarahitaha sanne. Viveka rupa buddhi ragantukasya रज्जु सर्पवत् कल्पितत्वम् इति एवमात्मिका तया भावयेत् इति संबंधः. ओके, पूर्वोक्त समाधि अनुरोधात् आत्मनि एव निश्चल स्वभावं सत् चित्तं यथोक्तं सुकराग निमित्तं तदुपाय राग निर्मित्तं वा निश्चरद् भवति इति सम्बन्धः. Okay, so this is all tika I read. So let's go to the next one. यदा न लीयते चित्तं न च विक्षिप्ते पुनः न च विक्षिप्यते पुनः अनिङ्गनमनाभासं निष्पन्नं ब्रह्म तत्तदा. So here he summarizes. Yada chittam na liyate, doesn't go into the laya or sushupti, or nacha vikshipyate punaha, nor is it scattered as in the case of dream and waken. So in all the three states are covered here. Vikshipyate means waken and dream. Liyate means deep sleep. So if your mind is not enjoying the deep sleep or waken or dream, okay, all three are dismissed. So you can't. So some people they may go to Vedanta ashrama and all that. So waken they have no interest. They have got vairagya. Dream also because the waken is all kind of arrested. There is no dream, but they may like to enjoy sleeping, no? Deep sleep. That also is not good. Is what is being said here. Yadana liyate chittam. Better to be alert all the time. Not that don't sleep at all. Yuktahara viharasya yukta jeshtasya karmasu. Yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. Bhagavan says no. So what is essential you do. Beyond that, don't start enjoying any of these things. Okay. Because all that leads to asana and samsara. यदा न लीयते चित्तं न च विक्षिप्यते पुनः अनिङ्गनम् अनाभासं निष्पन्नं ब्रह्म तत्तत्. Anabhasam also. Abhasam means you are superimposition, all kinds of things you are seeing on Brahma. All that is here is only Brahma. Anyway, so far you have come there. We are only talking about somebody who is samahpraptam na vichalayet. Okay, the person has done vichara, has gained the samatvam, Brahma Siddhi is there. Still, from there, Abhasam is that Brahman, sometimes that Nishta is gone because that Abhasam, the superimposition, is where the mind is going. After some time of Nishta, the mind is getting scattered. Okay, that is not there is Anabhasam. Aninganam, without any flickering. So, samafpraptam na vichalayet. So, when the person has controlled the nishta in a way that it has become swabhavikam, it is swabhava nishta, then what happens? Brahma nishpannam tat tada. Okay, Brahma swarupena chittam nishpannam bhavati. The mind is, chittam is rooted in Brahma. See, you are anyway all the time Brahma only. It's not that you are going to now become Brahma, but you are chittam. That is where the problem is. No, everyone is Brahma. There is only Brahma. So that way, nobody is going to lose anything. Whether a person is jnani or ajnani, both are going to be same because it's not that only the person who has gained jnanam is Brahman. Even the ajnani is Brahman only. Okay. Any animal also is Brahma. Any even tiger, lion, mosquito, everything is Brahma. There is nothing other than Brahma anyway. But the problem is only with the chittam, no mind. So the mind which recognizes this is free. Brahmavit apnoti param. The jnanam only is the difference, not swarupa. Therefore, this chittam Brahma swarupena nishpannam bhavati, it becomes rooted. Tada. When the aninganaba anabhasam chittam na liyate na vikshipyate. Okay, all the time it is just in that swarupa. Yatoktena upayena निगृहीतं चित्तं यदा सुषुप्तेन लीयते न च पुनः विषयेषु विक्षिप्यते अनिङ्गनम् अचलं निवातप्रदीपकल्पम् अनाभासं न केनचित् कल्पितेन विषयभावेन अवभासते इति यदा एवं लक्षणं चित्तं तदा निष्पन्नं ब्रह्मस्वरूपेण निष्पन्नं चित्तं भवति इत्यर्थः. Very straightforward. Yathoktena by the means which we have been so far discussing, Nigrihitam Chittam, the mind which has been controlled or which have been taken care of. Yada Sushuktena Liyate, when it is not enjoying just deep sleep all the time. Nacha Punaha Vishesha Vikshipyate, nor is it getting engrossed in the Vishaya, objects of your senses, either in the waken or deep dream. Aninganam achalam virvata pradeepa kalpam, just like where the flame in a place where there is no wind, how it is still, it is, if the mind is the same way, ekarasam brahmatva in Brahma, then anabhasam na chenachit kalpitena vishaya bhavena avabhasate. It is not anymore seeing the dual jagat. Okay, that yada evam lakshanam chittam, that mind which is in this form, then that mind then can be called as rooted in Brahman. Brahma nishpannam, Brahma sarupena nishpannam chittam bhavati. It is can be called as the Brahmanishta. The mind is in Brahmanishta. Okay. Not even that person. Swastam, that now what you are seeing here is actually the next karika. Swastam shantam sanirvanam akatyam sukhamuttamam ajamajena jneyena sarvajnam parichakshate. Swastam Shantam, this one, okay, because don't get confused. I think it's a printing error. Swastam Shantam Sanirvanam Akatyam Sukhamuttamam Ajamajena Jneyena Sarvajnam Parichakshate. Swastam, rooted in itself. It is all the time in itself. Okay, because Chittam is also Brahman only. So, if Chittam is in Brahma, you can say Swastam. It is in it. It is by itself. Okay. In Tamil also, we Tanairu. There is a word. Okay. So, Swastham. It is there. You are in yourself. Shantam. Shantam is Brahma, which is devoid of any kind of samsaritvam, fluctuation, dukkham, nothing. Sanirvanam. Nirvanam means nirvritti, which is moksham only. Kaivalyam. Okay, so we read in our history books Nirvana, Maha is a Jain concept and all that. Okay, see, Nirvritti is a Sanskrit word. Anybody can use it. Neither it's a Jain concept nor it is Vedanta concept. Nothing like that. It's a Vedic word only still. Sanirvanam, Nirvanena Sahavartade, Kaivalyena Sahavartade, Kevala Subhavaha Kevalam. Okay. Nirvrittihi nirvanam Bhashyakara says. Okay, divide of anything. Akatyam. Okay. Akatyam means that which cannot be told as this, that. It's not available for words. Sukhamuttamam. It is the greatest sukha. That ajam ajena nyayena sarvajnam sukham parichakshate. People call it as sukham because why? Ajena nyayena ajam. Okay, Ajena, the one which is not born, by the one which is not born, that which is to be known. Okay, by that it is non-different, unborn. Therefore, it is called as Sukha. So let's see the Bhashya. Yatoktam Paramartha Sukham. Paramartha Sukham. Okay. So where is Yatoktam? We have to see where that Sukha was spoken about. I thought it is just getting introduced. But Bhashyakara says Yatoktam Paramartha Sukham. Anyway, so we'll find out later. Paramartha Sukham Atma Satyanubodha Lakshanam. So that Sukham is what in the form of Atma Jnana. The once you know Atma Eva Satyam, there is nothing else. That itself is Sukham because Dukkha Nivritti has taken place. All your dukkha's are gone at that moment. Therefore, it is Sukha Swarupam because every Sukha is rooted in your Swarupa only. It is hindered only by this Anatma Drishti. That Anatma Drishti is gone, so all that is there is only unhindered Sukham. That's why Uttamam Sukham, Paramartha Sukham, Atma Satyanubodha Lakshanam, Swastam, Swatmani Sthitam. Swastam is as Swatmani Sthitam. Swastha also means health, no? Nowadays, Swasthyam means health, means it is how it should be. It is not being taken over by anything else. No germs or virus or bacteria is infected. It is what it is, how it is to be. It's called swastha, being itself. That's why health is called as swastha. Here also swatmani sthitam, rooted in itself because it is no more getting squandered away in anatma vastu, but it is being itself. Even when the world is being perceived, it is in itself because all the perception is also atma only. Therefore, Paramartha Sukham Shantam Sarva Anartha Upashama Rupam Shantam. To the Shantam also, Bhashyakara says, Sarva Anartha Upashama Rupameva Shantam. Anartha only brings Ashanti. Otherwise, your Swarupa is Shanti only. You don't need to gain Shanti. You are Shanta Swarupa. So the Anartha which is superimposed has to be removed. That's why Anartha Upashama Rupam Shantam Sanirvanam Nirvrittihi Nirvanam Kaivalyam. Kaivalyam means Kevala Swabhava, Ekatvam Atma only is there, nothing else is there. That is Kaivalyam. Kevalasya Bhavaha Kaivalyam, that is Nirvritti Nirvanam Saha Nirvanena Vartate. Okay. Nirvanena Saha Vartate Atma or Chittam. तच्च अकत्यं न शक्यते कथितुम् अत्यंत असाधारण विषयत्वात्. The Atma is not easily available for people. It's not available at all unless you gain through the Shruti Pramana. Therefore, it cannot be spoken about by others just like a Vyavaharika Vishaya. Sukhamuttamam niratishayam hi tad yogi pratyakshameva. That Sukham is yogi pratyaksham, jnani pratyaksham. Okay. न जातमिति अजम यथा विषय विषयम अजेन अनुत्पन्नेन ज्ञेयेन अव्यतिरिक्तम. It is not different from the unborn, which is the Brahmavastu. Sat svena sarvajna rupena sarvajnam brahmaiva sukham parijakshate kathyanti brahmavidaha. So this sukham is Brahma sukham, is how the jnanis talk about the one who know the Brahman. They say brahmaiva sukham sarvajnam brahmaiva sukham iti kathyate kathyanti. Parijakshate, Bhashyakara takes it, Kathyanti. They speak about who Brahma Vidaha. The people who understand Brahma says that if the Sukham is nothing but the Sarvajnam Brahma only. Okay. Na kaschit jayate jivaha sambhavo asya na vidyate etat taduttamam satyam yatra kinchinna jayate. So this is a summary, okay, Upasamhara of this Advaita Prakaranam. He says Uttamam Satyam, the highest truth. What is the highest truth? Na kinchit jayate. Nothing is born. There is nothing which is born. There is no world which is born, not Satya or Mithya. Vandyaputro is not born either directly or through Maya api. Correct? We have seen that. Na kaschit jayate jivaha. The jiva also is not born. That doesn't mean jiva always existed as jiva. No. The jivatvam is not even there. Sambhavaha asya na vidyate. So that means there is nothing which is the karanam for it also. Okay. So only because if it is a product, then only you can say this is the cause, but it is not an effect. Therefore, there is not. So far this a whole prakaranam only spoke about that. There is no srishti ajativada. We have seen Srutya also, Yuktya also. It has been told clearly shown that where is the birth? There is no birth. Sarvopi ayam mano nigrahadihi. Therefore, this mano nigraha and all that is not like you are controlling your mind so that there is a duality. You are taking yourself away from the duality by doing mind control. If you think like that, then the Dvaitam is Satyam only. That is why we don't insist on the Samadhi and all that. Because if everything is Brahma, why do you need Samadhi? You just need to see that fact. That's all. But anyway, we are doing so many things. Okay. In Vyavaharika Dasha, we are doing asana, we are doing pranayama, we are doing Viveka Vairagya, we are doing so many practices, right? We are doing puja. Then what is wrong in looking at samadhi also as a practice? That is fine. Okay. That's why if somebody wants to do, if they want to do Ashtanga Yoga, there is no problem. So long as there is a clarity, understanding. Because people should not think that this being in meditation is the ultimate thing. It is not. It's also a means. It can also become a samsara if you really want moksha. Okay. If you only want sukha, like so many people are after worldly sukha, you want some meditation sukha, that is okay. Nobody is talking about that. But if you want moksha, then this sukha also can put you in a trip. That's what the whole idea is. Sarvopi ayam mano nigrahadihi मृल्लोहादिवते सृष्टिरूप ऋषिष्टिः उपासना च उक्ता परमार्थस्वरूप प्रतिपत्ति उपायत्वेन न परमार्थ सती सत्या इति. See, he himself says sarvopi ayam, whatever has been spoken about like that. You remember there was one karika, it was talking about srishti prakriya. Mrinmayam Jagat, that Loha, Vispulingani, all those were spoken about in Upanishads. But there is no Srishti, it is only as an Upaya to show the reality which is Karyam Karanat Ananyate, Sarvam Brahmaiva. That is the idea. There is no Srishti, the Tatparya is not in creation, the Tatparya is in showing that all that is here is Brahma. Therefore, the Mrillohadivate Srishtihi Upasana cha, the Srishti Prakriya and the Upasanas like Manonigraha and other Upasanas, Ukta are told why Paramartha Swarupa Pratipatti Upayatvena. So, for it is as a means to understand what is Paramartha Swarupa. The Pratipatti means understanding, recognizing the reality of the world. Na Paramartha Sati Satya iti. So they are not shown as really there. There is no real Srishti. There is no real need to do Mano Nigraha. All that. There is no reality. Because everything is anyway my Mithya. The only Satyam is Brahma. Then why, what is this Mano Nigraha and all Paramarthata? You don't need all that. Okay. But as a Prakriya, as a Upasana for you to gain it, yeah, in the Vyavaharika parlance, you can use it. That's a different thing. परमार्थ सत्यम तु न कश्चित् जायते जीवः कर्ता भोक्ता च न उत्पद्यते केनचिदपि प्रकारेण. But the reality is, which has been shown through this Advaita Prakaranam, is na kaschit jayate jiva. No jiva is ever born. It's not like I always remain a jiva. See, this jivaha na jayate can be, you have to understand, in two senses. Okay, a jiva is not born means even in pralaya the jiva exists. It goes back into avyaktam. Then the next srishti happens, the jiva comes back. This is the vyavaharika samsara. Okay, in so the it's a vyavaharika satyam. There is a pravaha nityatvam of Veda, there is pravaha nityatvam of Jiva. Until the Jiva becomes Brahma, the Jiva remains Jiva. That is a vyavahara satyam. So we need to understand that. So that is na jayate jivaha. From that perspective also, the Jiva is not born. Paramartha, there is no Jiva at all. Where is the question of jayate or viparinamate apakshiyate and all that? Jivatvam is also Raju Sarpavate, superimposed only. There is no Vyakti, there is no Samashti. All that is there is only Brahman. Therefore, Paramartha Satyam tu na kaschit jivaha jayate, karta bhokta ja na utpadyate. There is no karta, no bhokta. Kenachidapi prakarena. Neither Satyam nor Mithya. Mayayava na jayate. Ataha swabhavataha अजस्य अस्य एकस्य आत्मनः संभवः कारणं न विद्यते नास्ति. Therefore, swabhavatah ajasya, this unborn is being its nature. The swabhava is what is going to be spoken of in the Alata Shanti Prakaranam in detail. Nothing gives up its swabhava. So swabhava means that is its nature, it is unborn. And it is ekasya atmanah, there is only one thing called Brahma, and there is nothing other than it. So there is no sambhavaha karanam. There is no cause for it also. Only something which is born needs a cause for its birth. If it is a karyam, then you need karanam. It's not born at all. So swabhavataha ajasya karanam na vidyate nasti. Therefore, yasman na vidyate asya karanam tasman na kaschit jayate jivaha iti etate. Therefore, it is not born. Purveshu upayatvena uktanam satyanam etat uttamam satyam yasminne satyaswarupe brahmani anumatramapi kinchin na jayate iti. Okay. So he says uttamam satyam. There are many satyam which is there. So many satyams have been spoken about. Purveshu upayatvena uktanam satyanam. There are many things which are told which are also correct in Vyavaharika sense as upaya. Among this is the actually highest satyam. What is the highest satyam? Satya Swarupe Brahmani Anumatramapi Kinchit na Jayate. This Brahman doesn't lend itself to any change. Jayate means something to be born, it needs to have undergo a change, and it needs to have avayava. It should have guna. Only all that is there, you can talk about birth. Also, birth implies what? Time. Something it didn't exist before this point in time, and it exists from this point in time is called as birth. Whereas Brahman is not within time. In fact, there is nothing called time. Okay, time is also a superimposed reality. So it's only satta matram. So that Brahman na jayate. So if you want to take away one thing from Advaita Prakaranam, there is nothing which is born. That is the Uttamam Satyam. That's what he concludes. Na kaschit jayate jivaha sambhavosya na vidyate etat taduttamam satyam yatra kinchin na jayate. Iti dvitiyam Advaita Prakaranam sampurnam alada shanti prakaranam. This is the final fourth one called alata shanti, where the discussion is to basically negate the other darshanas, which was done to some extent earlier also in Vaitatya. So here he is going to do that. Interestingly, this prakaranam starts with couple of Mangala Jaranam, prayers, invocations. Jnane nakasha kalpena dharman yo gaganopaman Jnaya भिन्नेन संबुद्धः तं वन्दे द्विपदां वरं वन्दे Dvipada means human beings, 2 feet. Okay, the greatest amongst the Dvipada, okay, that kind of a guru, okay, one day it starts with that kind of a prayer. In fact, the Bhashyakara ends the entire Karika Bhashya with prayers. Very interesting. He started also with prayers only. Prajnanam Supratanahi and all that, right, which we say in every class. Now here also suddenly Alata Shanti, there is a prayer, Dvipadam Varam Mande. And Bhashyakara introduces this prakaranam. Omkara Nirnaya Dwarena Agamatah Pratignatasya Advaitasya Bhakya Vishaya Bheda Vaitatyacha Siddhasya Punaha Advaite Shastra Yuktibhyam Sakshat Nirdharitasya Etaduttamam Satyamiti Upasamharaha Kritaha Ante तस्य एतस्य आगमार्थस्य अद्वैतदर्शनस्य प्रतिपक्षभूताद्वैतिनः वैनाशिकाश्च तेषां च अन्योन्यविरोधात् रागद्वेषादि क्लेशास्पदं दर्शनम् इति मिथ्यादर्शनत्वं सूचितं क्लेश अनास्पदत्वात् सम्यक् दर्शनमिति अद्वैतदर्शनस्तुतये तदिह विस्तरेण अन्योन्यविरुद्धतया असम्यक् दर्शनत्वं प्रदर्श्य तत् प्रतिषेधेन सिद्धिः उपसंहर्तव्या आवीतन्यायेन इति अलातशान्ति प्रकरणम् आरभ्यते. So why this अलातशान्ति प्रकरणं? So he gives the context. Omkara Nirnaya Dwarena. Omkara Nirnaya was what this actually, if you see, this Mandukya Upanishad that is picked up is very small Upanishad, right? Upanishad Vakyas just did the Omkara Nirnaya. That's all. And what is this Omkara from the Vishwataijasa Prajna perspective, and how those, the Akara, Ukara, Makaras can be used for doing certain upasana, and also they are the Satyam, and the Turiyam Brahma is the Adhara for Omkara, and same as for this Jagat, which is in the form of Jagra, Swapna, Sushupti. That is all was actually unfolded by Mandukya Upanishad. Now this Omkara Nirnaya was picked up by Agama Prakarana here. That's what he says. Omkara Nirnaya Dwarena Agamataha Pratignatasya Advaitasya. Okay. Bahya Vishaya Bheda Vaitatyati. So this Advaita Vastu with this Pratignatam, which was intended to be told by the Agama and was revealed by the first chapter Agama Prakarana, was picked up for dismissing the Bahya Vishaya. Because if it is Advayam Brahma, the Bahya Vishaya has to be Mithya, Vaitatya, Pitata. That is what was picked up by the second chapter, Bahya Vishaya Bheda Vaitatyate. Then Siddhasya, Punaha, what has been established by the dismissing the Vitata, but also you have to establish the Advaitam as a logical next step. Advaite Shastra Yuktibhyam. Advaitatvam through Yukti and Shastra was told in the third chapter, because once the Nanatvam is dismissed, anyway by default Advaitam Siddham. But that's why Siddhasya Punaha Advaite Shastra Yuktibhyam, again through Shastra and Yukti, Sakshast Nirdharitasya. It was determined, Nirdharitam. Etad Uttamam Satyamiti Upasamharaha Krataha Ante. So this is just now we saw Uttamam Satyam. What is Uttamam Satyam? Na Jivaha na Kinchit Jayate, na Kaschit Jayate, and all that. Tasya Etasya Agamartasya, that Agama Artha which is Brahma Satyatvam, Advaita Darshanasya, Pratipaksha Bhutad Vaitinaha Vainashikascha. During Acharya's time and Karikakara's time, there are Dvaitis and Vainashikas who are opposed to this. Who are the Dvaitis? All the Sankhya, Okay, Nyaya Vaiseshika and all these people. And Vainashika means Buddhas, the one who talk about Vinasha. That's why this chapter Alata Shanti elaborately deals with Vainashikas also. तेषां च अन्योन्य विरोधात् रागद्वेषादि क्लेशास्पदं दर्शनम, because they are opposed to each other, there is a ragadvesha involved, they want to always win. Iti mithya darshanatvam suchitam. It was already spoken of in the Aitatya Prakarana, and I think even in Advaita Prakaranam there was some discussion on Sankhya and Vaiseshika. Klesha anaspadatvat samyak darshanam iti Advaita darshanastataye, whereas Advaita darshanam there is no klesha because it is samyak darshanam. We will see in the next session, but quickly I'll just give the meaning of the sentences we just read. Tadiha vistarena anyonya viruddhataya asamyak darshanatvam pradarshya tat pratishedena advaita darshana siddhi upasamhartavya. So now we have come to the last chapter because we need to summarize the whole thing. What is the problem with the other darshanas and why Advaita only is Satyam iti Pratishedena Advaita Darshana Siddhi Upasamhartavya. We need to conclude properly. Avitanyayena iti Alata Shanti Prakaranam Arabhyate. Therefore, this Alata Shanti Prakarana is picked up so as to root your understanding properly. So we will see in the next session. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.
Thank you so much.